Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in internet shitlords. And today, if you can figure out what these three products have in common, aside from just being authored by me, you'll already know what the topic of today's video is. For those of you who are, while you're thinking about it, I'll remind you to, if this is the first time you're watching, if you end up liking this video, please subscribe and hit that notification bell and share this video or any other video I make wherever people might find it interesting or wherever people might get pissed off about it, because, hey, they both work, right? And hit the notification bell. If you want to keep getting notified when you're getting a live stream or when, I do a community post with a picture of meatball in it or something else. I just did an advance image of the upcoming cover of the Heroes and Villains of the Silk Road book. So yeah, you gotta subscribe, you gotta hit the notification bell. And of course, check out all my products. So today, the topic I'm going to talk about today is kind of interesting in that it came up quite a while ago, like about a month ago, I think. I'm not sure exactly. It might have been more, it might have been a bit less. And at the time, I didn't really think much of it. I wasn't really concerned about it. I didn't think it was worth doing a video. But now it's kind of popped up again. It's become very clear that they're going through with this. And I'll just tell you what it is. But this is what happens when you don't pick off something early. So apparently, Magic the Gathering, in Wizards of the Coast and their Magic the Gathering division have decided that they're going to remove any reference of the term tribal from any of their products. And so in case you hadn't guessed, that's something that these three products have in common. There are tribal peoples in all of these three settings. And they're going to replace it with the made-up word typal. Okay? So this is extremely stupid, and there's a very good chance that it'll, of course, come over to D&D, where it would be much more impactful, because really, like, Magic the Gathering is like, you're playing a child's card game, right? There's no change in the mechanics of what you tap and what you play and how you hit the other guy's mana or whatever. I don't know. I don't like the game. You might have guessed, but it doesn't affect anything other than the superficial aesthetic. And that's still bad, right? But of course, if they go into D&D and apply that term or apply that change, then that means that all kinds of settings are going to have those terms rewritten and into something stupid. But the most fundamentally stupid thing about this is that the word tribe or tribal is not in any way, like the claim is that it's racist, right? It's not in any way racist. It's not in any way a derogatory term, right? Ask the native tribes of the Americas if they think that that's a derogatory term. It's not. And of course, what these guys are going to claim are, it is derogatory if anyone who isn't of color uses it, which is bullshit too, because it's also not a race-related term. Every human civilization started as tribes. It doesn't matter what color you are. Your ancestors were once in a tribe, okay? That it's just a designation. It's like saying, you shouldn't call something a village because that's derogatory because it's not a city. It's just stupid. Yeah, I guess that they're trying to claim that it suggests a more primitive social concept than that of a more advanced civilization, right? Which it does, but primitive is not in and of itself. This also isn't derogatory, right? It's an indication of a stage in social construction, right? The construction of a society, right? And it's a suggestion about technological level. But, that doesn't mean to say that the people of a tribe are somehow inferior, right? In terms of as human beings or even in their concepts of thought, right? Go watch Matt Walsh's recent documentary, which I won't say by name here, but you all know which one it is, right? And go see the part where he goes to Africa, right? The tribe that he visits in Africa certainly seems to have more social coherence and more, they're poorer, they're less developed, right? They're in a less developed part of the world. They have probably more challenges as human beings than any of us have, but they also have much more social coherence and a much more of what seems to be a kind of tight-knit society that actually functions than anything we have, isn't it? You're like, isn't that the case, right? So there's nothing inherently discriminatory about applying the accurate term tribal. That would be like saying, well, you shouldn't call my arm an arm because it's offensive because that's not part of the torso. Like it's just stupid. It's a stupid argument to make, right? And it's a product of having these people, Wizards of the Coast, made a commitment. They said this directly, right after the incident with Spelljammer, where they took the Hadozi, which were a race from the old Spelljammer that had a kind of complex story to them, but that wasn't problematic. And they made it more problematic by wanting to change it into making the Hadozi seem closer. They're a race of ape-like people, right? And the writers there tried to make it seem like they changed the storyline of that race to make them more like a parallel for Black people, right? Which is like proving my point over and over again, right? That the only racists in the house here are the liberal progressives. This is all a constant product of this bourgeois white middle class that clearly looks on everybody other than themselves with utter contempt, right? And like, they claim to be paternalistic towards all of these people, right? They claim to want to uplift them, but the idea is they can't uplift themselves, right? They can only be uplifted by the noble white woman. And this is where the source of all this conception comes, because fundamentally, though, that is itself a reflection of their idea that they are the superior being and that everybody else is lower than them, right? So, the poor Black people, the poor Indian people, the poor tribal people, whatever, all of them have to be protected and cared for by the open-hearted, caring Democrat, member of the Democratic Party or the Liberal Party, who is going to rule them, but in a way that is meant to uplift them, and meant to make them feel accepted and diverse. Like it's just absurd, right? So this is the ridiculousness of this, right? You have this replacement word, typal, which means nothing, right? Like, what does that mean, right? Like, let's say, okay, so typal in place of tribal, that presumes type instead of tribe, right? So what are they going to say in an adventure? Instead of you run into a tribe of orcs, you run into a type of orc. Like, it's a type of Germans. There's a type of Israel, one of the 12 types of Israel. Like, it's just ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And, this is also obviously part of that mentality of saying, well, how dare you even suggest that orcs would have a primitive tribe, right? Like, how dare you make it that orcs are because, to them, orcs are Black people, right? So how is it that you could make anything, have orcs in your setting be anything other than a super advanced civilization of incredibly morally superior beings, right? It's, Orc Wakanda, right? It's literally that, because otherwise what you're doing is racism. And this is like this is all process culminating to the point of saying, well, probably RPGs have to be completely redone in such a way that you can't have people playing something that isn't themselves, because that's another one of the things that these people believe. They believe that the difference, the importance of race and skin color is so huge, it's so enormous, that no one could ever possibly understand what it's like to be in the other person's place, unless you're a biological male, and then you can understand what it's like to be a biological female, just by putting on a dress or something like that, I guess. But, with that exception, everything else, like, if it comes to race, forget it, right? Like, there's no possible way, no number of PhDs in, Filipino studies would ever allow somebody who isn't a Filipino to understand the particular suffering of being a Filipino. I don't know why they suffer, but from the point of view of a liberal, everybody's suffering except them, and it's their job to save them, right? So this means that in RPGs, it's for them, it's fundamentally unsolvable, the problem of RPGs as they are, because you have a large number of DMs who are mostly white men playing races and species that are not themselves, right? And those species are obviously just, in the minds of the woke, they're just meant to be thinly veiled imitations of real world races. And this is all, this is basically, people who are playing D&D are all basically Klansmen because of this, right? Because you're stealing something from this other culture. And at the same time, only the woke white people in charge of Wizards of the Coast can possibly protect and care for helpless, Black people and Native people, First Nations people, or whatever you want to call them, or helpless little Latinxes like myself. They need to watch over us. They can't let any of us have executive positions in Hasbro, right? Those are all white people, but they watch over us. It's just so ridiculous. Anyway, so be aware that this is going on. I don't know, like at this point, if you haven't given up on buying Wizards products, certainly if you're still buying D&D products, you've really kind of missed the alerts, But if you're still buying Magic, you may want to think about that as well, right? It's the same company, the same stupid company that keeps doing stupid things. I guess that's everything for today. If you like this video, and if you want to buy some RPGs that have tribes in them, well, check out Arrows of Indra, right? Which is set in the actual mythological, and it's just like kind of like the mythological King Arthur era in Europe. While the mythological era of India was the Mahabharata, and it's India in the time of the Mahabharata, epic OSR fantasy. Sword and Caravan, medieval adventures on the Silk Road. You can go and fight in the Crusades or wander all straight through the Silk Road. It's a massive source book, which even includes a class. You can play a tribesman. There's a tribesman class in Sword and Caravan. Why? Because the people that lived along the Silk Road, along the vast steppes of the Silk Road, were tribes people. They had tribes. They believed, what tribe are you? I'm a Turk. I'm from the Turkic tribe, right? What are you? I'm a Turkman. I'm an Uzbek. That is my tribe. These people, they would, if you went and told them, call yourselves a tribe means that, that you're being oppressed. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? The Karakatai are the greatest tribe. That's what their answer would be. Or until the Mongols come along, and then it's the Mongols are the greatest tribe. And of course, World of the Last Sun has all kinds of tribes of mutants, orcs, blob men, talking animals, you name it. There's tribes of everything in there. So yeah, check out one of those if you want to piss off the woke people. Check out products like these, which have the things that they hate. And you'll see links in the description of this video. You click the little more thing if you're watching on the app, and it'll open up, it'll extend that description, and you'll see links to all of my products. You can pick any of them up. My latest product is Wilderlands, a source book for Sword and Caravan. And there's a new one that's coming along soon. So keep checking my community posts to find out about that. That's everything for today. Hey, short video. Currently smoking Lorenzetti Poker plus, well, I haven't lit it yet, but I'm about to. Argento Roots.